Alright guys, now we've known that the weather is going to be a really awesome thing. Something that we've talked about for years, since at least 2016, about wondering is Planet Coaster ever going to get weather? And then, it was confirmed that Planet Zoo is going to have it. But these guys, Clement Bellet and Joshua Tanner, two of their programmers, Clement's a render programmer and Josh is a gameplay programmer, have really come in and given us even some more detail. And they've not only given us some more detail, but they've kind of in a way given us a lot more questions. Still a lot of exciting stuff is going on with this 6th developer journal. So I'll jump in and I'll just read you some of this stuff if you guys haven't went over to the forums, and we'll kind of break down some of this and go through the gist of it and let you know what Clement and Joshua had to say. And of course they start out talking about just having weather was very important to them. They said that weather conditions are what really makes the difference between biomes. Switching from the savanna to a temperate climate becomes much more than a visual change. Then Josh says, on a basic level, varying weather conditions bring a beauty and liveliness to the zoos. Beyond that, they also bring out interesting behaviors in the animals. Seeking shelter in rain and snow and taking a dive in the hot sun are a couple of ways animals will react to the changing weather. And so you can even see that, even like we said with the even when we were at Zoo Knoxville this past weekend, as hot as it was, really like 87 degrees, pretty sunny, it was pretty balmy down there. But the animals were still pretty active. The least active animals, I believe, is one of the Malayan tigers was kind of lounged around the whole time. The male, I can't remember what his name was. I got the female. She was walking around a pretty good bit. And the lions were pretty down and out, really hot on them. But the giraffes, the zebras, even the rhinos, I believe they're Dolly and Molly, they were up and moving around. Now, one of their keepers was kind of checking on them on the outside of the pen, so I'm thinking maybe he had treats, so they may have been a little more active, walking up to him. But the point is, in the Knoxville hot weather, they were still pretty active. But the Joshua goes on to talk about every species of animal has evolved to thrive in a particular climate, and bringing animals from all over the world into your zoo, you're going to encounter challenges in satisfying each species' temperature needs. He said building a suitable habitat for a species far from its natural environment is always a satisfying problem to solve. And then they also go on to talk about the guess. Weather ranges from sunny to cloudy, light and heavy rain, snow, in a wide range of temperatures. Guests will shiver in cold weather, sweat in hot weather, and if you choose to sell them, purchase umbrellas to protect themselves from the rain. So, it's like we've known that the L umbrellas are coming, but now this is the first time where Planet Zoo themselves have just come out and said it. You're going to be able to sell umbrellas to the guests. So that stuff, that type of stuff is really, really neat. And of course, if they're going to sweat in hot weather, this leads us to another question. What about the guests' clothing? That's something that Rudy and I have kind of went back and forth on for a while. If you build in a very, very cool biome, are the guests going to be wearing jackets, jeans, pants, hoodies, maybe, beanies? What are they going to be walking around out there in shorts and t-shirts and kind of maybe breaking that illusion a little bit? So that's another one of those things where it's kind of raising some questions when they say the guests will shiver in cold weather. Are they shivering because they're in basketball shorts and a tank top? Or, and then Joshua goes on to say each weather type drastically changes the atmosphere of the zoo. The weather conditions in your zoo will have a direct influence on the temperature. Over time, an animal's body temperature will tend towards its ambient temperature. If the animal is used to a significantly different temperature than what it's experiencing, its welfare will be reduced. So obviously, I think that's what we're saying. if you're going to have a rhinoceros in the middle of the snow, you're going to have to bring in those type of heating elements, something that will, that can kind of, bend towards what their temperature needs to be, because this outside, this weather is going to influence their core temperatures so much. So, and then they go on to say animals will move about their habitat to find areas which will bring their temperature to a more comfortable value. For example, if an animal is finding themselves too hot, they may head to their habitat's lake for a swim. So that's all of this kind of stuff we're gonna have to take into consideration. And Clement goes on to say managing temperature inside habitats is an important part of the game. Timber wolves will not thrive under the heat of the park in the Sahara, nor will plain zebras enjoy the Northern Europe climate. So placing down coolers and heaters to keep the temperature within their favorite range is going to be the best tool to solve these problems. And it also says, like we have mentioned before, and we've kind of seen the chimpanzees do, animals will seek shelter under trees or buildings when it rains. So make sure you build options for them, and that is definitely going to need to be a priority of ours. And then they kind of go on to say the more handy devices like the heaters and coolers allow you to decrease or increase the temperature within a small radius. They've programmed it to where the animals can seek out heaters and coolers to kind of work on their temperature need. They said in a hot climate, coolers can be used to keep an area cold and prevent snow from melting away. Likewise, in a cold, snowy environment, heaters can be used to melt the snow. So maybe I could see using my heaters maybe in the cave to kind of like blow off the snow, maybe at the entrance of the cave, and they can retreat to that if they don't want to be snowed on, or if they want to maybe escape to that warmth of the cave. And Clement said, a big challenge in bringing the weather to Planet Zoo was handling sheltered areas. We knew you would build elaborate structures and needed to figure out which areas were sheltered from precipitation in a believable and aesthetically pleasing way. Another interesting part was the intersection of snow and heaters/coolers. Having snow melt around heaters or stick earlier around coolers was a neat way to give temperature a visual impact beyond just the behavior of the guests and animals. So, really neat stuff. And then they kind of ended. They say they're just really looking forward to what the habitats we're going to build. I don't really see myself building in a snow biome very much. I definitely see myself more as the rainforest, savanna, the northern kind of European climate they were talking about is a little intriguing. Like I said in the video yesterday, the Pacific Northwest of the United States kind of climate, redwood tree, giant forest type climate, really, really intrigues me. But like I said, guys, really interesting article about the weather. It does lend itself to more questions that I'm sure you guys will leave down below when we kind of continue this discussion. But weather is definitely a thing. Really, really makes me excited for stuff like Planet Coaster 2, if that ever becomes a thing. And like I've always said, I think Planet Zoo is going to be a huge test, a huge indication of what's going to be possible with Planet Coaster 2, as far as even something simple as the rain bouncing off the rides and the pathways and being able to sell umbrellas to the guests and stuff like that. So, but anyways, I'll go ahead and jump on out of here. Just wanted to jump in here and give you a quick overview of the weather article that they just put up today. Hopefully we'll get maybe an animal reveal tomorrow. And then of course tomorrow they're going to probably do our Zoopedia fact, question. So don't know if we're maybe looking for maybe an animal reveal on Thursday. So I don't know, maybe we'll just have to kind of keep our eyes peeled and our ears pinned back and see what they have in store. So, but let me know what you think down below about all this weather madness. And I'm Stan Wolf. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up with this Planet Zoo content and hit that like button. It really helps me out. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you. See you.